Most African countries invest heavily in their military and defense systems. Moreover, strong political influence, economic stability and growth rate, and solid international alliances are also vital factors for determining the power of a nation. Many nations have leveraged their advantages in terms of military might throughout history to become great powers. By contrast, Macedonia under Philip II and Alexander was seen as a backwater by other Greek nations, but rose to become the most powerful of all the ancient Greek states thanks to its military might. By developing a potent military, Prussia, also seen by other European and German governments as a backwater, was able to unify Germany and become the most dominant state in continental Europe. The Soviet Union's great power status was also based upon a foundation of military power, something that allowed it to emerge as a global superpower in the wake of the Second World War. The growth of many regimes' military might ultimately serve as the impetus behind their ascent to great power. Others found that a lack of military might ultimately lead to the collapse of states that were either previously great powers or had the potential to achieve great power status, but did not, even if a decrease in other facets of power led to their final military defeat. History is replete with examples of states whose demise occurred on the battlefield. In today's video, we are going to take a look at the top 20 most powerful countries in Africa. But before you get into all that, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on all future videos with interesting African content. 20. Cameroon. As of May 2022, the Republic of Cameroon had a population of around 27.8 million people and a nominal GDP per capita of over $1,499.4. The military of the Republic of Cameroon is known as the Cameroon Armed Forces. 14,200 people make up the land, aviation, and naval forces of the armed forces. Of these 14,000 military personnel, the Army has 3 military zones with about 12,500 soldiers. The Cameroonian Navy, which has its main office in Douala, consists of about 1,300 soldiers. The Air Force consists of fewer than 400 personnel. A further 9,000 paramilitary soldiers perform gendarmerie or reconnaissance duties. There are bases for the Cameroonian armed forces all around the country, including one in Gawandere. Garoua, Yaoundé, Douala, and Bamenda all have Air Force bases. Instead of acting as a separate political force, it has typically remained obedient to the government and worked to maintain the stability of the system. The Cameroonian military is still heavily involved in preparations for deployment to the disputed Bakassi Peninsula with the assistance of French military advisors, despite the traditional dependency on French defense capability having decreased. 19. South Sudan. The Republic of South Sudan has a population of about 11.2 million and a nominal GDP per capita of $1,136.6. South Sudan has a defense budget of $270 million. The country is covered by grassland, swamps, and tropical forests. The Army of the Republic of South Sudan is known as the SSPDF, or South Sudan People's Defense Forces. It was originally known as the SPLA, or the Sudan People's Liberation Army. The SPLA was an important player in the Second Sudanese Civil War, which was led by John Garang and was established in 1983 as a guerrilla movement against the Sudanese government. Salva Kiir succeeded Garang as the SPLA's new commander-in-chief after his passing in 2005. The SPLA had divisions of 10,000 and 14,000 soldiers as of 2010. The South Sudan Defense Forces, led by General Paulino Matip, were the last big and well-equipped militia to exist after the comprehensive peace arrangement was reached in 2005. In an agreement known as the Juba Declaration, the two forces were combined under the SPLA's guise. 18. Mali. The Republic of Mali is the 8th largest country in Africa, with about 20 million people and a nominal GDP per capita of about $859, and a military budget of $597 million. The Army Republic of Mali Air Force and National Guard make up the Malian Armed Forces. The Minister of Armed Forces and Veterans is in charge of these about 7,000 individuals. According to the Library of Congress, the military is underfunded, under-equipped, and in need of rationalization as of January 2005. Following a 1992 deal between the government and Tuareg rebel groups, Tuareg irregular forces were integrated into the regular military, which had a negative impact on its organization. According to the IISS, or International Institute for Strategic Studies, military balance for 2009, there were 7,350 Army personnel, 400 Air Force personnel, and 50 Navy personnel. Internal security is maintained by the Gendarmerie and Neighborhood Police. The total paramilitary force, according to the IISS, was 4,800 people, made up of 1,800 gendarmes, 2,000 Republican Guard members, and 1,000 police officers. A few Malians attend military schools in Germany, France, and the United States. 17. Ghana. The Republic of Ghana's estimated population of over 31 million makes it the second most populous West African country after Nigeria. Its nominal GDP per capita is estimated at $2,328.5 and a defense budget of $289 million. The Army, Navy, and Ghana Air Force make up the Ghana Military Forces, which is Ghana's collective armed force. The President of Ghana, who also serves as the top military commander of the Border Guard Unit, is the Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces. The Chief of Defense Staff and the Minister of Defense are in charge of running the armed forces. The nation has a power index rating of 2.3, with around 15,500 active military personnel. The armed forces have significant involvement in global peacekeeping missions. Ghana favors sending its soldiers to missions in Africa. The UN, however, has sent Ghanaian personnel to a variety of nations, including Afghanistan, Iraq, Kosovo, Georgia, Nepal, Cambodia, and Lebanon. Lieutenant General Arnold Quainu, a member of the Ghanaian military, served as the first force commander of the Economic Community of West African States Monitoring Group. From July 19 to September 19 of 1990, he served as the force's leader. The Ghana Armed Forces perform a variety of tasks as peacekeepers, including patrolling, acting as military police, monitoring elections, demining, keeping an eye on the truce, providing humanitarian relief, and even acting as special forces or frogmen against terrorists. 16. Zimbabwe. The Republic of Zimbabwe's estimated population is over 15 million. Its nominal GDP per capita is $1,128, and a military budget of $117 million. The Zimbabwe National Army, or ZNA, and the Zimbabwean Air Force, or ZFA, make up the ZDF, or Zimbabwe Defense Forces. General Philip Valerio Sibanda is the Zimbabwe Defense Forces top commander. When Zimbabwe gained independence following the Rhodesian Bush War, the then Prime Minister, Robert Mugabe, said that one of Zimbabwe's main priorities would be to integrate the country's 3 military services. The 20,000-strong Zimbabwe African National Liberation Army troops of the Zimbabwe African National Union Patriotic Front and the 15,000-strong Zimbabwe People's Revolutionary Army forces of the Patriotic Front Zimbabwe African People's Union were amalgamated with the already existing Rhodesian Army. The Army's current strength is believed to be 29,000, and the Air Force's current strength is estimated to be 4,000. Since the Rhodesian Bush War, the military has mostly been engaged in operations aimed at dismantling non-state armed cells. 15. Uganda. The Republic of Uganda is the 15th most powerful country in Africa in 2022. It has about 43 million people and a nominal GDP per capita of $817. The nation's defense budget of approximately $934 million. The Ugandan military is made up of the Uganda People's Defense Force, or the UPDF, formerly the National Resistance Army. The UPDF, which was made up of land forces and an air wing, had a total strength of 4,000 to 5,000 people between 2007 and 2011, according to the International Institute for Strategic Studies. Annual recruitment is conducted for the armed forces. Most high-level military posts remained in the hands of British officers after Uganda gained independence on October 1962. Rank-and-file Ugandans complained that this approach prevented advancements and kept their pay disproportionately low. The armed forces, already weakened by ethnic divides, eventually became unstable as a result of these accusations. Each post-independence state increased the army's size, typically by hiring soldiers from inside one region or ethnic group, and each government used military action to quell political dissent. 14. Zambia. The Republic of Zambia's population estimate is over 19 million, and its nominal GDP per capita of $1,558.3. Its power index rating is 2.2 and a defense budget of about $251 million. Zambia's armed forces are known as the Zambian Defense Force. The Zambian Army, Zambian Air Force, and Zambia National Service make up this force. The constituent parts of the disbanded Federation of Rhodesia and Nyasaland Armed Forces were used to create the Defense Forces on October 24, 1964, the day Zambia gained independence. It was crucial in a number of regional battles in the 1970s and 1980s, including the Rhodesian Bush War and the South African Border War. Zambia lacks a fleet because it is a landlocked nation, although the army does keep a maritime patrol force to protect security on inland waterways. 13. Chad. The Republic of Chad has a nominal GDP per capita of around 635.1, an estimated population of roughly 17 million people, a power index rating of 1.9, and a defense budget of about $293 million. From 1960 to 1979, the commander of the gendarmerie, Wadal Abdelkader Kamog, took control of the Chadian Armed Forces, or FAT, which served as the army of the central government of Chad under the southern presidents Francois Tambalbe and Felix Maloum. FAT expanded to include gendarmerie battalions, representing mostly the Sara ethnic group in the 5 southern prefectures. It fought alongside the Army of the Transitional Government of National Unity and received assistance from Libya. Due to defeats sustained at the hands of Habra's Armed Forces of the North, or FAN, FAT started to fall apart in 1982. The majority of the surviving soldiers consented to FAN assimilation or resumed their insurgency as Kodos or commandos. Around 2.2 million women and about 1.9 million men are available to be drafted into the Chadian Armed Forces. In Chad, individuals are deemed capable of serving in the military at the age of 20. In Chad, people can volunteer to join the military at the age of 18, but if you wait until you're 20, you must serve for 3 years. Volunteers also do not need to be a certain age as long as parental permission is obtained. At the age of 21, women in Chad must perform a year of civic or military duty. Chad's government devotes about 4.2% of its GDP to its armed forces. 12. Kenya. The Democratic Republic of Kenya, which has a population of roughly 56 million and a nominal GDP per capita of $1,479.1, is the 29th most populous nation in Africa. One of the top cities to visit while on vacation is its capital, Nairobi. Kenya has a power index rating of 1.5 with a $1.8 billion defense budget. The Kenya Defense Forces, or KDF, are the nation of Kenya's military forces. The Kenya Army, Kenya Navy, and Kenya Air Force make up this group. The current KDF is administered by the KDF Act of 2012. It was founded and its composition is specified in Article 241 of Kenya's 2010 Constitution. It has an estimated total military personnel of 24,000. Its primary duty is to defend and uphold Kenya's territorial integrity and sovereignty. The KDF conducts annual recruitment. The Chief of Defense Forces is the highest-ranking military officer and the President of Kenya's top military advisor. The President of Kenya serves as the KDF's chief commander. 11. The Democratic Republic of the Congo. With around 96 million citizens, the DRC is the 15th most populated nation in the world. With a nominal GDP per capita of $556.8 and a $348 million defense expenditure, it has a power index rating of 1.4. The government agency in charge of protecting the Democratic Republic of the Congo is known as the FARDC, or the Armed Forces of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The Second Congo War came to an end in July 2003, and the FARDC was partially reconstructed as part of the peace process that followed. Although the FARDC has a small air force and even smaller navy, the majority of its members are land troops. Between 144,159 people may have worked for the three programs in 2010 and 2011. The Congolese National Police and another presidential organization known as the Republican Guard are separate from the armed forces. 10. Tunisia. One of Africa's 10 most powerful nations is the Republic of Tunisia. The Freedom House organization's classification of it as free makes it the sole country in North Africa. The estimated population of Tunisia is 11.8 million, with a nominal GDP per capita of $3,900, a power rating index of 1.3, and an estimated $1.1 billion for defense spending. The Tunisian Army, Air Force, and Navy make up the Tunisian Armed Forces. More than 150,000 people were serving in Tunisia's military services as of the year 2019, with 80,000 of them being conscripts. The National Guard, which had 12,000 members, made up the paramilitary forces. Tunisia takes engaged in UN peacekeeping operations in DRC and Ivory Coast. The Tunisian armed forces had previously been sent to maintain peace in Cambodia, Namibia, Somalia, Rwanda, Burundi, Ethiopia/Eritrea, and the Congo mission in the 1960s. 9. Sudan. The third largest nation in both Africa and the Arab world is the Republic of Sudan. It has roughly 4 to 5.7 million people living it. A power index rating of 1.3, a nominal GDP per capita of $1,939.4, and a defense budget of $287 million. The armed forces of the Sudanese Republic are known as the Sudanese Armed Forces. ISS estimated the size of the regular forces to be 109,300 people in 2011. In contrast, the Rapid Support Forces had 40,000 troops fighting in the Yemeni civil war from 2016 to 2017, 10,000 of whom had returned to Sudan by October 2019. 8. Libya. Libya is the 16th largest nation in the world and the 4th largest nation in Africa. There are around 6.9 million people living there, and the nominal GDP per person is $4,046.3. The nation has a $3.4 billion defense budget and a power index rating of 1.3. The internationally recognized Government of National Accord, which is in charge of several distinct armed forces in Libya, goes by the name Libyan Army, or GNA. They have nearly 30,000 active military personnel. The groups of the Libyan Army have been formally subordinated to the Tripoli-based, globally acclaimed Government of National Accord GNA since December 2015. The Libyan ground forces remain fundamentally fragmented as a result of the country's unrest during the 2011 civil war and the start of a new conflict in 2014. Some of these troops make up the Libyan National Army, which is stationed in Tobruk and is led by Khalifa Haftar. The GNA's allies in Libya have been engaged in conflict with the Islamic State and other opposition groups. However, the majority of the forces under the control of the Tripoli government are made up of local factions from towns like Misrata and Zintan and numerous militia organizations, including the Tripoli Protection Force. 7. Angola. The Republic of Angola's estimated population of 33 million makes it the 7th largest country in Africa. It has a nominal GDP per capita of $3,236,000 and a power index rating of 1.09, and a defense budget is $1.05 billion. The armed forces of Angola are known as the FAA, or Forças Armadas Angolanas, or Angolan Armed Forces. The FAA is made up of the Angolan Army, Angolan Navy, and Angolan National Air Force. A reported 107,000 people were employed overall in 2021. Antonio Aguio de Sousa Santos, the Chief of the General Staff, has been in charge of the FAA since 2018. He answers to Ju Ernesto dos Santos, the current Minister of National Defense. 6. Ethiopia. The Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia has an approximate population of 120 million and nominal GDP per capita of $826. The country's power index rating is 1.079 and a defense budget of about $538 million. The Ethiopian National Defense Force, or ENDF, is the military force of Ethiopia. Civilian control of the military is carried out through the Ministry of Defense, which oversees the ground forces, Air Force, as well as the defense industry sector. Since the end of the Ethiopia-Eritrea War in 2000, the ENDF size has seen major fluctuations. The strength of the Ethiopian Defense Forces in 2002 was between 250,000 and 350,000 soldiers. This figure was essentially constant during the Derg dictatorship, which was overthrown by rebel forces in 1991. However, that figure was subsequently decreased, and in January 2007, during the war in Somalia, it was reported that Ethiopian forces consisted of roughly 300,000 soldiers. The ISS estimates that the Air Force had 3,000 personnel and the ground forces 135,000 in 2012. The Ethiopian Ground Forces and Ethiopian Air Force are the two distinct branches that make up the ENDF as of 2012. There are numerous defense industrial companies in Ethiopia that manufacture and repair various weaponry systems. The majority of these were constructed during the Derg dictatorship, which had a massive military-industrial complex planned. The ENDF depends on people over 18 years old serving in the military voluntarily. Although military duty is not required, call-ups may occur when necessary and participation is required. 5. Morocco. The Kingdom of Morocco is the fifth most powerful country in Africa, with an approximate population of 36.9 million and a nominal GDP per capita of $3,300. It has a power index rating of 0.857, making it fifth on a list of powerful countries in Africa in 2022. It has a $5.4 billion defense budget. The nation has about 310,000 active military personnel. The armed forces of the Kingdom of Morocco are known as the Royal Moroccan Armed Forces. The Army, Navy, Air Force, Royal Gendarmerie, and Royal Guard make up this group. Large, expensive, and well-trained, the Royal Moroccan Armed Forces have a wealth of counterinsurgency, desert warfare, and combined air-land operations knowledge. Participation in peacekeeping operations has given me more experience. 4. Nigeria. With a projected 216 million people, the Federal Republic of Nigeria is the fifth most populated country in the world. The nation's nominal GDP per person stands at $2,396. It has a power index score of 0.542. There are approximately 223,000 active military members in total, and the country's defense budget is about $4.5 billion. The Nigerian Army is the country's armed forces land force. The Nigerian Army Council is in charge of it. The Nigerian Army's highest-ranked military official is called the Chief of Army Staff. According to Global Firepower, the Nigerian Armed Forces are the fourth most powerful military in Africa and ranked 35th on its list internationally. The Nigerian Army Council is in charge of running the actual army. The Nigerian Army is functionally divided into infantry and armored combat arms, artillery, engineers, signals and intelligence, combat support arms, and the Nigerian Army Medical Corps, supply and transport, ordnance, and finance combat support services. The military police, physical training, chaplains, public relations, and the Nigerian Army Band Corps are among further specialties. The doctrinal, training, and combat development are under the control of the Training and Doctrine Command, which is based in Minna. The Nigerian Army College of Logistics and 17 Corps training schools are both present in the country. 3. Algeria. The People's Democratic Republic of Algeria has about 4 to 5 million and a nominal GDP per capita of $3,850. As of 2021, the country's power index rating is 0.405, with a defense budget of about $9.7 billion and approximate total active military personnel of 130,000. The People's Democratic Republic of Algeria's armed forces is known as the Algerian People's National Army. The National Liberation Army, or ALN, the armed component of the Nationalist National Liberation Front that battled French colonial power during the Algerian War of Independence, was directly succeeded by it. The Algerian Land Forces, Algerian Navy, and Algerian Air Defense Force are all components of the People's National Army. The conventional military forces established in neighboring Morocco and Tunisia during the country's fight for independence from France served as the army's foreigners. The armed forces haven't engaged in hostilities with a foreign country since skirmishes with Morocco in 1963 and 1976. 2. South Africa. The Republic of South Africa is one of the wealthiest and most powerful countries in Africa, with over 60 million people and a $5,121 nominal GDP per capita. The nation has a power index rating of 0.276, estimated total active military personnel of 666,500, and a defense budget of about $2.9 billion. The South African Armed Forces are collectively referred to as the SANDF, or the South African National Defense Force. The President of South Africa chooses a member of one of the armed services to serve as the commander of the SANDF. They in turn are answerable to the Defense Department's military veterans and Minister of Defense. Following South Africa's first non-racial election in April of that year and the ratification of a new constitution, the military, as it is known today, was established in 1994. 1. Egypt. Egypt is officially called the Arab Republic of Egypt. It is Africa's third most populous country and the most populated nation in the Arab world. Egypt has about 105 million inhabitants and a $4,028.4 as its nominal GDP per capita. The Land Combat Division of the Egyptian Armed Forces is known as the Egyptian Army or Egyptian Ground Forces. This is the Egyptian Armed Forces' largest service branch. Mohammed Ali Pasha, who is regarded as the father of modern Egypt, formed the modern army under his rule. The 5 battles Egypt fought with the State of Israel throughout the 20th century were its most major engagements. During one of those conflicts, the Suez Crisis in 1956, it fought with the armies of the United Kingdom and France. In addition, the Egyptian army played a significant role in both the brief Egyptian-Libyan War on July 1977 and the protracted North Yemen Civil War. Operation Desert Storm, which liberated Kuwait from Iraqi domination in 1991, was its most recent significant involvement. The Egyptian army comprised the second largest component of the Allied forces. The army is expected to have a strength of 310,000 as of 2021, of which between 90,000 and 120,000 are professionals and the others are conscripts. There are further 375 reserve members. Thanks for watching this video till the end. If you enjoyed it, then hit the like button and also subscribe to our channel. We continue to bring you the most educative content on the African continent. Thank you so much for watching and see you in our next video.